Well, as we mark the centennial of Armistice Day, the end of World War I, let's not forget to honor our current veterans who serve on the front lines to protect our freedoms every day. Well, our next guest he returned from Vietnam, then he worked, then he became our nation's #1 military recruiter, then he retired, then he got off the couch to help veterans. Retired Sergeant David Hack, well, he's still serving his country and brothers in arms in his unique way. He's the founder and CEO of U.S. Wings, a company that makes bomber jackets and aviation gear for the military. And David, welcome. You employ your own veterans. First of all, thank you for your service, and thank you for the service of everyone who works in your company, and of course, all our vets. What does Veterans Day mean to you? What is the significance of us remembering and honoring every year?
It means that I, as a professional and as a veteran, reflect back on what I did in the military, and also gives me the opportunity to reach out to fellow veterans and thank them for what they've done and their sacrifices that they made for our country.
You were wounded in Vietnam. You received the Purple Heart. You were in a military hospital in Fort Knox, what, for 1 year?
Yes, sir. I was wounded actually twice. And the second time I was medevaced out of Vietnam and was at Island Army Hospital in Fort Knox, Kentucky for 1 year. And then I stayed on medical hold for 3 years from combat wounds.
And despite going through that, you became the nation's #1 military recruiter. Tell me about that. What did you do? What would you say, and how'd you do that?
While I was on recruiting duty, I felt that it was my responsibility to reach out and recruit the best of the best. And I felt that I accomplished that mission. And I worked at it from 1969 to 1973, and then I retired on a medical disability.
All right, even though you were retired, your wife, what, she poked you and said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to start making bomber jackets. You're going to call it U.S. Wings, right? How did that start? How did the company start?
I retired from the Army, and then I was a police officer. And then I retired as a police officer. And one day I was just, sitting around. My wife, she says, you need to go to work. And I says, well, no, I'm retired Army. I'm retired as a police officer. Why do I want to go to work for? And she says, well, honestly, you need to do something, and I've got the perfect job for you. And I says, what's that? And she says, we're going to start a company called U.S. Wings. And I says, I really want to retire. And she says, no, you're going to work. And that was the start of everything. In 1986, we started U.S. Wings, and we supplied the general public with bomber jackets and the military and all federal agencies, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's a fun business. It really is. And then after that, the Purple Heart Foundation appointed me as the licensee making Purple Heart jackets. And I says, wow, this is really something.
And what's so special also by your company, and this is one of the jackets here. First of all, I want to show this to folks. You got 2 American flags. There's not just one, but there are 2 American flags in the jacket. And they're made by vets. I mean, you went out of your way to employ and help fellow veterans to manufacture these.
That's so important because, if you take the time and you communicate with a veteran is one savvy person, just plain and simple. The United States military spends a fortune training these guys. And when you hire a vet, you're one step ahead of everyone else. You really are, because they're intelligent, they're dedicated, and it's just a no-brainer. It really is. And I'm a firm believer in hiring vets, and I think that that every employer should take a real hard look at veterans and bring them in, because these guys are smart and they're dedicated. Just plain and simple.
They have helped our country. They have helped our freedoms. And some certainly have troubles. You have PTSD and other issues, as we know. What would you say to some veterans who, right now, who are watching, maybe having a bit of a difficult time, tough time sometimes?
I know for a fact how many veterans are watching right now. And it's in the millions. It really is, because last year it was over 3 million veterans that watched this show. And it's in the millions. And I say to these veterans, get off the couch, go talk to someone, and let's put it together and let's work with one another, just plain and simple. And veterans have got so much going for themselves. All we need to do is just communicate, plain and simple.
David Hack, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do for veterans, and for those veterans watching, you know that we love you and care for you, and you are credited and you are embraced by this nation, and we thank you. And Colonel Hack, we thank you and all of them for their service. We are honoring and remembering all of you on this Veterans Day. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be on Fox News.
Of course.